Mrs. John, Vine, give that list to me. I am going downstairs and I will ask the worker to bring them. You were suspicious already about her a bit, and this time you didn't listen to her. Vine, it's okay, Mrs. John. I will bring them myself. I don't trust any worker. Mrs. John, angry. What do you want to say? That I am giving him wrong medicines? Vine, please don't shout, Mrs. John. You are disturbing him. And I am just saying that I want to handle all this by myself. Mrs. John, you will regret, Vine, she said, burning in anger, and left from there. But you didn't care about what she said, and you sat beside Jungkook. He was silent and didn't spoke anything. Vine, Jungkook? He hummed. Vine, what are you thinking, Jungkook? You remember now, I am always with you, and we'll fight together and will surely win. You smiled when he looked at you. Jungkook, I don't know, Vine, but I don't think that I'll get better. You heard what doctor said, right? There are chances that I will get permanently paralyzed. You looked at him, but you only know that it is hurting too much by listening him saying that he will not get better. It feels like stabbing. Vine, Jungkook, please take rest. And if you trust me, just even little bit, then please believe that you will be fine very soon. He looked at you when you hug him. This is the best feeling in the world, hugging each other, being in each other's embrace. Here, it feels like all the stress and worries had gone away. After some time, you brought his medicine and gave him. Like this, you started taking care of him more. You always gave him medicine on time, and like this, 1 month passed. And when doctor came, he examined his condition. Doctor, congratulations, Mr. John. Your condition is getting better. You looked at each other happily. Doctor, if he will continue to be improving like this, then very soon he would be able to walk. By saying this, he left. Mr. John happily. Thank God, finally for the first time, doctor said that it is getting better. He looked at both of you and passed a smile. But you looked at Mrs. John, who doesn't seem happy. Mr. and Mrs. John left. Jungkook happily, his eyes turned numb. Thank you, Vine. You looked at him. Vine, I didn't did anything, Jungkook. Thanks to you. You are really improving. You happily hugged him. Jungkook, no, Vine. Thanks to you. You were the only one who didn't give up on me. Everybody gave up, even me myself lost all my hope. But you were the one who always motivated me, who didn't give up on me. Thank you so much, Vine. You looked at him and wiped his tears. Vine, why are you crying, Cookie? It is a good news. You should be happy. Jungkook pecked on your hand and smiled at you. Time skips after 2 days. You and Jungkook were walking in the street. You were helping him to stand on his foot, as doctors prescribed him to do some exercise and try to stand on his feet. He was falling again and again, but you were picking him up and making him try once more. Vine, just one more time, one last time, please try and we'll end today's exercise. He nodded and tried to stand, but he just stood for 2 seconds and again he sat on the wheelchair. Jungkook, it's so tough, Vine. Vine, no problem. You did well, Jungkook. If you will practice daily, then you will be able to stand for sure. You both were heading back to the house when 3 guys blocked your way. They were wearing black outfits and masks. They were looking like kidnappers or criminals. You quickly pushed Jungkook's wheelchair and started walking from other side. But one of them held your hand tightly. You looked at him angrily. Vine, leave my hand. Jungkook looked back and saw that guy holding your hand forcefully. Jungkook angry. Leave her hand, you. Another guy picked you forcefully and was about to take you with them when Jungkook shouted in anger. You, leave her hand, I said. He was trying to get up from the chair but was unable. When third guy pushed his wheelchair hardly and he fell on the ground. Vine shouting, Jungkook, Jungkook, are you fine? You started crying. The road was all silent. You were shouting for help but nobody was there. You were hitting the guy who picked you with your legs when he put you down, and another guy held your arms tightly, not letting you go. First guy, hey, such a beauty gonna die soon. You were just looking at Jungkook, who was lying down on the floor trying to get up but feeling helpless. Second guy bring out his gun from his pocket. You were so shocked and scared by looking at the gun. You were more worried about Jungkook as he can't even run from there. Vine in mind, scared. What? A gun? What if they shoot him? What if they hurt him? Please God, save him. Please don't let him get hurt. Please. Tears escaped from your eyes. When first guy bring a knife from his pocket, he placed that knife near your neck. Jungkook POV. They have a gun and a knife. What if they hurt her? I should do something. I can't let her get hurt. But I'm helpless. I'm useless. I can't do anything. I can't even stand on my own. I'm trying my best to stand, but it's not possible for me. When that guy placed a knife harshly on your neck, you closed your eyes as it was hurting. Jungkook shouted, "Hey, don't touch her. Leave her, please." Tears were escaping from his eyes. Third guy, "Oh look, her Romeo is begging us to leave her, huh?" Second guy, "But we'll not leave her." They started laughing. First guy was pushing knife more harshly when your neck started bleeding. You were still closing your eyes tightly. Jungkook looked at you with his helpless tears. It was the worst feeling to see your loved ones in danger but couldn't be able to do anything. Second guy, "Hey, why are you wasting time? Just kill her quickly. I don't have much time to waste here. I have to go on a date with my girlfriend." Third guy taunted, "Oh really? You have a girlfriend?" Second guy, "Yeah, of course. Not everybody is single like you." First guy frustrated, "Yeah, please, shut your mouth." First guy looked at Jungkook, who was begging to them to leave you. You were little shocked that he is begging them to leave you because he never even requests someone. But yeah, you were an exception for him. But today, he is. First guy smirked, looking at Jungkook, and was about to stab you. When you opened your eyes, you saw Jungkook's red face. He was sobbing. First guy was about to kill you, but suddenly you don't know what came into your mind when you kicked him between his legs. When he shouted so badly, Jungkook looked at you shocked. You also don't know why you did that, but it was a sudden action you took to defend yourself. Second and third guy looked at you with weird, shocking expressions. Jungkook quickly got a chance as now everybody's focus was on you, so he texted his secretary and sent him their location to help them. Second guy, "Hey girl, how dare you to kick him between his legs?" He came near you with his gun when you kicked him also between his legs. His eyes got red in pain. The third guy was shocked and held you more tightly from the back. You were trying your best to escape from his grip, but he was so strong. But then you moved your head backward, hitting his nose. His grip loosened as you quickly ran towards Jungkook. Your neck was bleeding and you were feeling little dizzy due to blood loss. There were a little deep scratch on your neck. You quickly made him sit on the wheelchair and was about to run from there when you felt something sharp on your back and you fell down on the road. One of the guys stabbed you from the back and then ran away. When Jungkook looked back, he saw you falling on the ground. Your white top was all red, covered with blood. Your eyes were getting closed, but you were trying your best to not to lose your consciousness. Jungkook's world almost shattered when he saw you. He quickly fell himself on the ground and placed your head in his lap. He was crying so badly that we can't even imagine. Jungkook, Vine, please don't close your eyes. Please, I'm sorry. Please, Vine, open your eyes. He broke into tears. His tears were continuously falling. Vine weakly, It's not your fault, Jungkook. You are the best and I love you, You fainted. He started panicking when suddenly a car stopped near them and his secretary came outside from it. He was shocked by the scene he saw, but he quickly picked you up and put you in the car and he helped Jungkook to sit in the car and he drove to the hospital. You were in critical condition. Doctors took you to the operation theater. The hospital staff worked tirelessly to save your life. Jungkook was in waiting area, having fear of losing you. Tears were streaming down his cheeks. The uncertainty and helplessness weighed on him heavily. Hours dragged on as he waited for any update on your condition. Finally, a doctor came from the operation theater and Jungkook quickly rushed to him, his eyes filled with hope, fear and guilt. Jungkook anxiously, "Doctor, how is she? Please tell me that she is okay." Doctor with grave expressions, "Mr. John, I am afraid it's not a good news. We did everything we could. but her condition was critical when she arrived. We couldn't stabilize her in time. She is in a very critical state and we are doing our best. Jungkook felt like his world was falling apart. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. He thanked the doctor, his voice choked with sorrow, and returned to the waiting area, alone with his thoughts and regrets. His family was also there trying to calm him, but for him, his family, his world is only one, who is fighting between life and death. In the days that followed, your condition remained critical, and Jungkook's despair grew with each passing moment. He spent every available minute by your bedside, holding your hand, praying for a miracle, and begging for your recovery. As your life hung in the balance, Jungkook's love for you only grew stronger. He wished he could turn back time, protect you from harm, and make everything right again. As you fought for your life, Jungkook was locked in tormenting battle of emotions. His love for you was unwavering, but so was his guilt. He couldn't help but think that if he were stronger, faster, or more capable, he could have prevented this nightmare from happening. Days turned into nights and hospital room became silent witness to Jungkook's internal turmoil. He spent every moment by your bedside, holding your hand, whispering apologies and promises he wasn't sure you could hear. He wished he could turn back time, undo the events that had led to this tragic situation. He longed for a second chance, a chance to protect you, to keep you safe from harm. He was hoping that you could recover while torturing himself with the guilt that it was all his fault. Slowly, as the days passed, your condition started to improve. One day, Jungkook was asleep in the wheelchair holding your hand. When you woke up after a long sleep, you saw him in front of you. You weakly smiled at him and gently kissed his soft cheeks. He woke up, his eyes filled with surprise and happiness. Jungkook with teary eyes. Wine, how are you? How are you feeling, Wine? Wine weakly smiled. As long as you are with me, I am perfectly fine, Jungkook. His smile initially brightened but soon faded as cloud of sadness overcome him. You noticed his change of expression and became concerned. Wine. Jungkook, what happened? Jungkook didn't utter a word but simply looked down. Wine. Jungkook? Jungkook sadly. I am sorry, Wine. I was unable to protect you. Tears welled up in his eyes as he blamed himself. Jungkook. You were attacked right in front of my eyes and I couldn't protect you. I feel so useless. Wine concerned. Jungkook, please stop blaming yourself. What are you saying? It was just an accident. But deep down you knew it might not have been just an accident. But you didn't want to burden him with suspicions. Jungkook, you need to rest, Wine. Please get some rest. You nodded. After a while, you messaged his secretary, instructing him to find out who was behind all this. She had her suspicion about Mrs. John, but she needed proof and clarity. Jungkook came over to you after some minutes. Jungkook, why aren't you sleeping? You should take rest. Wine, I have already slept a lot. He hummed in understanding. You knew that he is still blaming himself at this point. You were feeling helpless because you were trying to convince him that it was not his mistake, but he was really feeling guilty. You thought to switch the topic and clear the mystery. Wine, Jungkook, can I ask you something? It's a personal question. He looked at you and nodded. Jungkook, of course, Wine. Wine, why don't you like your parents? He was surprised and confused by her question, but he decided to answer honestly. After a brief silence, he began to speak, his emotions surfacing. Actually, my mother died in an accident and then Mr. John married her. I mean, Mrs. John. My mother found out about Mr. John's affair with Mrs. John, my stepmother, so she angrily left the house that day and his voice trailing off as emotions overcame him. Wine held his hand, offering comfort. Jungkook took a deep breath. Jungkook, for me, he is the reason that my mother is not with me today. He betrayed her and just after her death, he married another woman. I started hating him for this reason. So he named all his property on my name and ensured that if I died, it would be transferred to my children or donated to an orphanage. To prove his love, but for me, he killed my mom. You felt bad for him as it was seriously a shocking truth for you. You didn't knew that Mrs. John is his stepmom. Vine, I'm sorry. Jungkook looked at you and managed a soft smile. Jungkook, it's okay, Vine. You don't have to feel sorry. It's in past. You nodded in understanding his pain, Vine in mind. The entire property is in Jungkook's name. If something happens to him, like permanent paralysis, he would not be able to manage the company and Mrs. John can take control over it. Everything started to connect in your mind. You quickly sent a text to Jungkook's secretary requesting to send all the old prescriptions and details of the medicine he was taking before their wedding. Vine via text. I want all the previous prescriptions and details of the medicines he was taking. Secretary. Yes, ma'am. As the days passed, you get recovered. You both took each other's care when Jungkook's condition was getting better. You were discharged from hospital and were now busy in investigating about the truth behind all this, and you finally got to know all the truth. One day, Vine. Jungkook, I want to tell you something. Jungkook looked at your serious face. Jungkook curious. What's that, Vine? When his secretary came inside your room and bowed to both of you. Secretary. Sir, the truth which we want to tell you is that Mrs. John intentionally planned your accident. She was behind your accident. Jungkook shocked. What? What are you saying? Mrs. John? He looked at you with confused expressions. Secretary. Yes, sir. It appears that her motive goes so much deeper than we initially thought. She had a hand in both accidents. Jungkook confused. Both? Secretary. Yes, sir. She was behind your mother's accident also. Jungkook was so shocked. He was processing everything he heard. He was boiling in anger. You held his hand tightly. Secretary. And she was the one who wanted to kill Wyan. She ordered those men to kill her that day. Jungkook got more angry by listening this. His face turned red. He was fuming in anger. You were patting his shoulder to calm him down. Jungkook angry and confused. But why? Why would she do this? Wyan. It's because she wanted your property and she saw your mother as an obstacle. After your mother's accident, she may have believed that you would inherit everything. So she tried to kill you. But after your accident, your father named all the property on your name. So she decided to make you permanently paralyzed so that she can take control on the property. Jungkook was hearing all this while fuming in anger. Jungkook. And what about you? Why she wanted to kill you? Secretary. Because Wine Ma'am was the one who was trying to make you get better. She was giving you correct medicines and time and you were improving. So Mrs. John decided to kill her so that she can make you permanently paralyzed. Wine. She was giving you wrong medicines from so long so that you can become permanently paralyzed. That's why you were not improving, Jungkook. He was feeling mixed of hurt and anger. After learning the shocking truth about Mrs. John's intentions, Jungkook was consumed by anger, but he knew that he needed to act wisely. You and Jungkook, with the help of his secretary, collected the proof against her by catching the 3 guys who were behind you to kill you. And finally, after so much hard working, they confessed that Mrs. John told them to kill you, and before 6 to 7 months, she told them to fail the brakes of Jungkook's car to kill him. It was Mrs. John's order. The kidnappers had the recording of Mrs. John ordering them to kill you and Jungkook so that the kidnappers, can blackmail Mrs. John in future and get money. You collected all the proof after so much hard work and submitted to the police. And after this, Mrs. John got arrested. Even she denied many times that she is innocent, but all the proofs were against her. Mr. John was so shocked. He was feeling mixed of anger, hurt, and betrayal. He thought that Mrs. John loved him, but she was all behind his money and property, and the fact that she killed his first wife, Jungkook's mother, and even tried to kill Wine and Jungkook was unbelievable for him. He sat on the couch, held his head between his palms, and became all silent, trying to process everything. Jungkook was looking at him. Of course, he was not feeling good for Mr. John. After all, he is his father. But he was trying to control his emotions and act cold like he don't care. When you went to Mr. John and sat beside him on the couch, Vine trying to comfort him. Dad, I know you are blaming yourself for all this, but we know that there was not your fault. Jungkook and Mr. John were silently looking at you. Vine, I know you always want our best and you never wanted your children to get hurt, so please don't blame yourself. You passed him a smile. Tears escaped from Mr. John's eyes and he looked down. Jungkook felt a sharp pain by seeing his dad's teary eyes. He cried last time when his mother got into an accident, and after that today he is crying. You looked at Jungkook when he firstly looked at you and then moved his wheelchair towards Mr. John. Jungkook's slow voice, please don't cry, Dad. When Mr. John looked at him and saw Jungkook's numb eyes, Mr. John emotional. Dad? Jungkook stopped calling him Dad after his mother's accident because for him he was the reason for that accident. Jungkook looked towards him. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry. I knew that was an accident, but I thought that you were the cause of it. I hated you for so long for this reason, but you were always there for me whenever I needed you. You never failed to do your duties as your father. You were not a good husband. You cheated on your wife, but you were a good father. So my mom has all the rights to hate you. But today I want to apologize for everything. I don't want to hate you and anymore, and I'm sorry. Tears escaped from Jungkook's and Mr. John's eyes. Mr. John, Jungkook, my son, you don't know how much I waited for this day. That when will you forgive me? When will you call me Dad? I'm sorry, my son. Mr. John started crying. Jungkook wiped his tears and hugged him while sitting on the wheelchair. You also got emotional, and to switch the mood you said, Wine. Yeah, guys, I guess I should give you some privacy. Do whatever you want. I'm hungry, so I'm going to have my lunch. You guys continue. When Jungkook broke the hug and looked at you, Jungkook frowned his eyebrows. What do you mean by do whatever you want? What do you think about us, huh? Wine dramatically. What? I said you guys are getting emotional, so do all your emotional crying and hugging stuff, and I'll have my lunch. That's it. What are you thinking, huh? Mr. John chuckled. Mr. John, alright, now please don't start fighting, and yeah, I'm also hungry, so come, let's have lunch together. You and Jungkook passed him a smile and you pushed his wheelchair and went to do lunch. Time skips to the same day at night. You came outside from the bathroom after taking bath when you saw Jungkook standing on his feet holding flowers. You couldn't believe what you saw, so you quickly rubbed your eyes and then looked at him. He was smiling at you. Your eyes got teary when you quickly ran towards him to hug him, but you got slipped as your feet were wet. But you were close to him, so he quickly catch you in his muscular arms. Jungkook smiling. Yeah, baby, calm down. What's the hurry? Wine emotional. Yeah, Jungkook, are you really? I mean, you can walk? Your legs are fine now? He smiled and nodded. You were feeling so happy when Jungkook wiped your tears. Jungkook, why are you crying, baby? It's a good news, I guess. Wine, yeah, these are the tears of happiness. But wait, when did you got to know that you can walk? Jungkook, actually, I was about to tell you that day when you told me that truth about Mrs. John. But then I decided that I'll tell you this when everything would be fine and sorted. I'm sorry, Wine, for telling you late. You quickly hugged him. Wine, thank you so much, Jungkook. I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't have words to express my feelings. You don't know how much happy I am feeling. Jungkook, it's all credit goes to you, accept it or not. And thanks to you, my baby. He broke the hug. Jungkook, let's have dinner outside. Wine, no, let's have dinner with Dad. I mean, he's also a little disturbed after what happened, so we should tell him this and he would be so happy. Jungkook looked at you with a smile and nodded. Wine, don't think that I'll let you go with just a dinner. You have to take me to a long holiday. Jungkook smiled. Jungkook teasing. You mean honeymoon? Wine, you can say anything. When you both walked downstairs to have dinner, Mr. John got surprised by seeing Jungkook walking on his feet. He felt so happy and quickly got up and hugged Jungkook. Mr. John, Jungkook, you can walk? Wow, it's amazing. Jungkook smiled. Yeah, Dad, it's all because of her. When Jungkook and Mr. John looked at you, Mr. John smiled. Yeah, no doubt. It's just because of your hard work and love, my daughter. When you all sat to have dinner, the atmosphere was light and filled with love. Jungkook couldn't resist teasing you a little more. Jungkook, smirking. You know, while I was busy regaining my ability to walk, it seems like you were busy regaining your appetite, he said, looking at you eating. You playfully pushed his arm. Wine, oh please, let me eat. I'm so hungry and happy today. Jungkook nodded. Jungkook, you know, Wine, what's the best thing about our house? You raised an eyebrow. Wine, no, I don't know. What's that? Jungkook leaned even closer, his lips almost touching your ear, and whispered, Jungkook, there is no annoying nurse to interrupt our romance. You pushed him away lightly and started eating while blushing. Mr. John chuckled. He was glad to see you both in such a high spirit and happy with each other.